Welcome to an episode of The Closers. You got myself, Mark Haynes here, Jelani Hendricks to the top right, and D Mace, Dalen Mason in the middle and the bottom.
Yeah.
Minnesota Timberwolves just knocked off the Golden State Warriors and are on their way to their second straight Western Conference Finals. How good has Anthony Edwards been?
I think he's been a superstar. He's showing that he belongs. He's showing that he's ready. He's answering the call to the bell. So, to my point, I think he's right where he need to be right now as a young superstar at 23 years old.
Yeah, I agree. He's been to 2 consecutive conference finals. And let's keep it a buck. Nobody picked him to make the Western Conference Finals this year or last year, right? He did that at the age of 22 and 23. And he's the star on his team, the alpha on his team, the leader of his team. He's doing that at such a young age. I can't remember the last time we've seen a guy put a team on his back and at this age and get them this far. So I'm very impressed with him and his game. I'm just impressed with the Timberwolves in general. Shout out to Julius Randle. Right. Because you're the second best player on the team that's going to the conference championship. So, yeah, man, they doing their thing, bro.
Yeah, no, I agree with both of y'all on that. I think at his plan, he's showing that he has superstar, abilities. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, nobody, picked them to be in this position, at the beginning of the year. And what stood out to me, which is, crazy to think about, and it might happen over in the other conference as well, people was uneasy on that trade between, with swapping Julius Randles and Karl Anthony Towns, especially when they just made it to the Western Conference Finals. In the season they had or whatever, they had a slow start. People thought, oh, well, they took steps back with Julius Randle. You can't win with Julius Randle. Yeah. And they're right back in the same position they were last year. Flip side, Karl Anthony Towns and the Knicks potentially can be in the same spot too, but over in the East. But with Minnesota, like you said, the others, Conley, Jaden McDaniel, Naz Reid, DiVincenzo, all of those guys having their moments. And I think that's why they're being able to make this run. But Anthony Edwards semi-completes the legacy knockout road as we started last year. Was Kevin Durant, beat Kevin Durant in the series. This year beat LeBron and Luka in the first round. Second year kind of beat Steph Curry. Not, obviously Steph was hurt, but he kind of beat them, and he's on an amazing run right now. And now that he's in the Western Conference Finals, looking back at the second round, he's looking at Denver and OKC. Which of those two do you think Minnesota Timberwolves have a better chance at beating?
I'm going to say Denver.
You took it right out of my mouth.
I'm going to say Denver, and I'm only... like they say, right, the best way to predict future behavior is past behavior. So they already beat them last season in a semifinals, right? And then I learned today that they swept Denver in the regular season.
Yep.
So for me, I gotta, I think the best matchup for them is Denver. OKC, they deep, bro. They so deep. I didn't realize how deep they were until this particular playoff series. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Denver, man. I'm gonna go with Denver as the easiest. Not gonna say the easiest matchup, the more favorable matchup. Because Denver's a good team.
I second that because I do see that that's a better opportunity for them to advance to the championship. And kind of like how he said, we didn't beat them once before. We didn't sweep them throughout the year. We've already shown that we have their number.
Yep.
So at this point, it's like I don't think they'll underestimate them, but I also think that they got something in a superstar and Anthony Anthony Edwards that they cannot answer for.
Mm-hmm.
I think the size with Rudy Gobert and Joker. I mean, Joker wins that matchup, but Rudy Gobert is big enough, strong enough to slow him down.
Mm-hmm. And that's another great point. Like Rudy was when they decided to get rid of Karl Anthony Towns and keep Rudy, and obviously real basketball fans know Julius Randle is no slouch.
Right.
So when they, Randall and Cat, they're just two different players. But Rudy, to me, he was always the one that it was like, nah, you can't trade him. Obviously, I think Towns is better. But when you look at, they, like you said, they beat Denver last year. They, beat them four straight games during the season this year. Rudy Gobert has his fingerprints all over it.
Right.
You need that side, you need that defensive presence, and like you being that defensive anchor when that's going to impact the way Jamal Murray plays as well. He alters a lot of shots, and that's been monumental in these especially against the Lakers in the first round.
Yeah.
It's funny, we cannot do an episode without bringing up the Lakers. They pop up somehow, but you take Rudy out that series, the Lakers might be the team we talking about right now.
Right.
Yeah, for real.
And then with Minnesota making this run, and like we said earlier, knocking off the Warriors. Obviously Steph Curry was out. They were hoping to stretch the series out to at least 6 games to give them a chance to come back. And now that it's over, so it's not happening. Have we seen the end? Is this the end of the Golden State Warriors dynasty when it comes to championships?
Hey, you know what's funny? That was that kind of went through my mind today. To see how much does this affect? Charles Barkley made a point during TNT. He said that to think that Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond comes back next year better than what they were this year at an older age is ludicrous to think about. Now, unless they, to me, and I'm gonna just jump out there, unless they make a move to get them younger, I think the dynasty is over. As far as winning championships, I think they're still going to be competitive, but I think unless they get younger quick, I don't see them winning another championship.
I agree. I agree, man. I think I said this on a different episode. They got to kind of find a way to keep their vets but get younger at the same time. The Spurs did it. We seen them do it, and they got Tim Duncan his 5th championship. I thought Tim Duncan was done winning championships, right? But he was not. So I really think it comes down to getting a younger player, whether it's a trade, free agency, like a young star, up and coming star, or figuring out a way to get Kuminga more involved. And that's another thing that I've been saying all playoffs, and Sir Charles brought it up too, right? He's the only person on that team that's athletic, explosive, and can keep up with these young guys on the Timberwolves. But if Steph wasn't hurt, he wouldn't have even got in the game.
Nope.
And I don't know what that is. And he's a free agent this year. So I don't know. Maybe they extend him, give him more of a role, or maybe they, trade him and get some other young pieces. I don't know what they're gonna do, but they got to do either get a young man some more time, or flip him for something else to get younger. But that's their young piece, and they're not utilizing them. There's only so much Draymond can do. Right? Steph hurt, probably because he's 36, 37 years old. Jimmy Butler wasn't 100%. You could tell in this series he wasn't 100%.
Yep.
And
So
that wasn't talked about enough either. No,
No.
that was, he didn't make no excuses. He didn't, he wasn't out there limping like he could have. But yeah, he's definitely not 100%.
nah. So yeah, all them cats in their 30s. So definitely got to get younger. But if the front office can make the proper moves and get the right pieces around Steph, I think that window can stay open another year or two. But if not, it's closed.
I think, and not to keep dominating this conversation, but I think that this is Steph Curry's one flaw that he showed this year was not making more opportunities for Kuminga and preparing him for this. That's the one flaw that he had this year is kind of pretty much taking him completely out the rotation. Because you see immediately when he came in this series, you immediately seen the athleticism. You seen the ability to score. You seen his speed was different when he got on that court. It almost looked like everybody else on that court was moving slower on his team. So you seen the difference immediately. So to me, that was a Steph Curry move that he, for whatever reason.
You mean Steve Kerr? Steve Kerr.
What did I say? Steph Curry?
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. Is that his
fault? I said it twice. Steve Kerr. What? Kerr, Steve, all the same thing. Now, but Steve Kerr. That's his one flaw this year is the fact that he did not make more opportunities for Kuminga to actually step into a bigger role. Because it seemed like that's where they was going last year with it. But it seemed this year something must have happened. And I want to know what happened in that dang locker room for him to just completely fall out of rotation. Yeah, that's it. That needs to be researched.
Because I agree. I think like I don't think they need to they need to play younger. Because I think they have young talent on that team. Because you also look at, tonight's game when it looked like they kind of gave up and threw, like Moses Moody in the game or whatever. Moses Moody caused, 2 or 3 turnovers and, they made a run. And sometimes you need a lot of times, and especially in this series, they needed that youth to, kind of give them a little boost, give them an energy boost. It was Steve Kerr. I feel like he relied on the vets and the things that they've been capable of, their whole career, which has been long careers. And he just expected it to just click. And it was like, I felt like it was opportunities. It was definitely opportunities for Kuminga. And I thought Moody probably should have played more. I'm not sure how many minutes he played tonight or whatever, but they come in, they play hard, they're scrappy, they got energy. And sometimes, that energy, can rub off on, the older guys, the veterans.
Definitely.
And in life, when you're around kids and the youth, it make you feel a little younger.
For sure.
And yeah, you're right. If Kerr can figure out, you almost made me say Curry. If Kerr can figure out
players mess up
how to use that youth. And like I don't know if maybe this was a bad series, but I wanted to see more of the Quentin Post kid. Like he fell out the lineup, and like Kerr is real strict on rotations, and once he decides this is what we're doing today, it's like that's it. Right. And I think in the playoffs, like I think he could have had more adjustments and that could have helped and maybe get to that game 6. I think we all after a while had Minnesota, winning, but I think they could have got to a 6.
Yeah, man, it goes back to OKC. Them cats play like 10 players in the playoffs.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying you got to play 10, but you throwing different people at Jokic, right? It's just different. They got energy. They don't get tired. Right? And that's why they're able to close out during these real close games, man. And and I'm a Laker fan for life, but I'm also a Steph Curry fan. So, I definitely at the end of his career want to see him still be on a team that's contending.
Right.
Right.
Do you think how close, and then we'll move on. How close do you think we are to Steph Curry retiring? Obviously, the talent is still there, but it's, I think when you get to, him, LeBron, KD, when you're at that level, is, you don't have much more to prove to anybody. You're already one of the greatest of all time. And how much longer do we get to see his greatness?
I don't see Steph Curry stretching his career. I honestly think it's going to be a shock when he retires. Because I think we still going to, like us as fans, we're still going to see he still got 3-4 years left. But I think it's going to be a shock when he retires. For the simple fact it's going to come out of nowhere. And I mean, I don't want to put it on him, but one more injury, I can see him saying, I'm done. Like a significant injury. I don't wish that on him at all, but he just I'm knocking on wood right now. But that's like the only thing I can see with him. I don't see him doing 20 years. He's close, but I don't see him doing 20 years.
How many seasons has he played so far?
I think he's up
16 or 17.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I think there's a few factors. Number one is just, I think it's mental. Like, do you still have what it takes to wake up every morning and prepare your body to play 82 games plus per season? Do you still have that will and that passion? Because, like you said, he has nothing to prove. He a top 10 player of all time in my book. And a top two, definitely a top 2 point guard. So it really depends on like if he got the will and if his body's right. I'll say that's the first part. I think the second part is he contending? I feel like if he feels like they can win and he can get another ring to add to that legacy, I think he could play another 2, 3, 4 years. Which will put him at like, they play another 3 years, I put him at 40, 41.
Yeah,
so I think he's 37. So if they're contending and they got that youthful energy around him, I think it can extend his career. I think he'll stay. So we'll see. I hope he plays at least another 3 seasons.
Yeah, I can't imagine an NBA without Steph Curry and LeBron and KD, but the reality is it's coming.
It's right there. It's knocking on the door.
It's sooner than we know. Like you said, I think it's gonna be a shock. And the one thing I hope, and this was kind of like something I envisioned, which ended last year, but I wanted to see when Steph decided to retire, I wanted Clay and Draymond to retire with him. Now, obviously, Draymond is the only one in a Warriors jersey, but I would, I hope they go out together. I want to see, like you said, I don't want to see them have a down year. I want to see them, have a successful, season and
retire on top.
Yeah, retire on top, even if they don't win a chip or whatever, but just have a competitive last season and go out together. I think that'll be like the perfect ending to one of the greatest legacies of all time.
I think that might be one of the greatest stories in the NBA. Is that trio?
Yeah,
Clay, Draymond, and Steph. I mean, I'll see it. We'll see a movie in about 10, 15 years on that trio. Guaranteed.
It needs to be studied.
For real.
Because it wasn't like, they weren't a super team.
Nope.
Right.
Draymond, a second round pick. I think, Clay and Steph were lottery picks, but nobody looked at them as like generational talents. Right. But they got together and built a dynasty, man. So that definitely needs to be studied.
Yeah,
sure.
I think all 3 of them, like you said, none of them were like, they being a lottery pick. You look at all the teams that I forget. I think Steph went 12 or 11 or something like that or whatever. So that means, it was multiple teams that passed on him. Multiple teams passed on Clay. The whole NBA passed in the first round on Draymond. And I think they all kind of had that same hunger to prove people wrong. And I think that's kind of, what made that situation blossom over there. But transition before we get to the East, one transition to OKC, who's a team that has a lot of lottery picks and drafted really well and got a whole bunch of, future first round and lottery picks coming. Do they close this series out tomorrow, or will the Denver Nuggets push the Game 7?
That's a tough one.
This is their best shot. I honestly think. I think, I'm kind of on the fence because I do got Denver pick, but I do think OKC is going to go into this game like we got to get it out. Like we got to end it.
Urgency.
We have to end it because if we keep giving them momentum, this is not a team you want to go in a Game 7 with.
Mm-hmm.
Not a Joker. Now, if this is somebody else, you don't want to go in a Game 7 with Joker.
Yeah.
So I do think OKC, I do think they will close it out tomorrow. But man, if they don't, they're in trouble.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I picked Denver to win the series, but as you know, 80% of the teams that win Game 5 win the series.
Yep.
So I'm leaning towards OKC winning this series just based off that statistic. I think they can get it done Game 6, but it's just hard. It's hard to win in Denver, but they got it. They got to get it done Game 6.
Yeah.
Because y'all seen what Jokic did last night.
Yeah.
And you called it, Dalen, because you were like, you called it. I was thinking of you at the end of the game because he was like, if he scored 40 something, that means they're gonna lose. And they did. Called it.
Yep.
I was like, damn. But yeah, like he can do that again, bro. Like he can do more than that.
Easy.
And he hit that wild 3-point shot. I'm like, how did I even go? I'm like, man,
a fadeaway 3-point at that.
1-footer.
Balance 1-footer.
OKC have to end it tomorrow night. They have to.
Yeah.
Not saying if they lose, they're gonna lose a series, but you just don't want to take that chance.
Exactly. Like, don't even put it in a situation where the Joker can. He's had a 50-20-10 game.
60. Didn't he go 60-20 something like that?
60-20 something. Yeah. So he's more than capable of winning one game. As good as OKC is, as deep as they are, as many bodies as they could throw at them, they're not going to wear him down. You're not going to stop him, but you could run up against a situation where your shot is just not falling, and Joker goes for 60.
Yep.
Now you're in trouble. Yeah, I think they have to win it. I think they do win Game 6. I think they come out with a lot of intensity and understanding that this is a game they can't mess up. They dropped some early in the series, and close ones. These next two, there can't be any mess ups. Like, they have to, and that's part of, being a champion and going, deep into the playoffs. And that's what they're trying to do. And that's what they got to do, is get by potentially the MVP of the league, or prove that they have the MVP of the league.
Yeah. It's a toss-up for me. Toss-up. I don't know who's going to win the next two games.
Hey, and with seeing this head-to-head matchup, you can see, like, it's really that close. Isn't it? Like,
yeah. Besides that blowout game.
Outside the game yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, flip over to the East, where, they have, the Indiana Pacers are waiting for the New York Knicks or the Boston Celtics. The Celtics are still alive. No Jason Tatum, had the terrible, Achilles season-ended injury. He already had surgery. I think they said 8-9 months or something or whatever.
All rest, no nothing.
Yeah, but the Celtics, they came out and got a victory and extended this series. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that. All I did expect was I thought Jaylen Brown, this was an opportunity for him to show that he can really play, because there was a lot of people who said Jaylen Brown, can't play without Tatum. Obviously, nothing's better than full strength.
Right.
But Jaylen Brown, he went out, had a solid game. I didn't see the end stat, but last time I was looking, I think he had 20-something and 8 rebounds and 8 assists, something like that. But can the Boston Celtics, without Jason Tatum, can the Boston Celtics upset? Now it would be an upset the New York Knicks and make it to the Eastern Conference Finals?
I'm gonna say hell no. However, if they blow this one, this will be probably the worst crapshoot job I've ever seen in my life. When your true number one goes down and you can't find a way to get it done. They let Devin White go off for 34 today.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's I don't know what they was thinking, because this was their chance. But man, look, I say hell no. But man, look, hey, man, New York gonna go up in flames if they mess around and blow this.
Right?
With Jason Tatum still in the hospital.
Win or lose, New York is going in flames.
Yeah.
Win or lose, it don't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have y'all been seeing them videos online of the fans just going crazy for no reason? I'm like, yo, they got a lot of pent up energy because they ain't won nothing so long.
Right.
I feel for them. But I got the Knicks winning this. Now, I will say this. The Celtics are built to come back without Jason Tatum. They built for it. Like you said, Derek White is the 4th or 5th best player. He put up 34 points.
30.
So if anybody can come back down 3-1 without their best player, they're the team that can do it. I don't believe they're going to do it. My gut told me they was going to win today. It's game 5. They have a lot of depth. Somebody going to go off. They're at home. They're not going to go out like that. But I think New York ends it on Friday night in New York. They're going to end it.
And they did this with a very minimum game from Porzingis too. He didn't really do too good this game. So that's another explosive opportunity that can come out the woodworks and bite you in the ass. So they might want to really get on top of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think New York wins it. I think they ended this next game. I think was it Friday, you said? I think was it tomorrow, Thursday? Tomorrow's Thursday. Man, my days is all off. But
it's Friday night. Hey,
I think they ended on Friday.
If they lose, man, Spike Lee gonna be on suicide watch. Stephen A. Smith ain't gonna show up to First Take the next morning
for the month.
Nah, he done with First Take. Who else a big New York fan?
Fat Joe.
Fat Joe, yeah.
Fat Joe gonna lose weight. It's just gonna be bad, bro. It's gonna be bad. Casey Morgan's gonna throw up again. It's gonna be bad if they lose. If they lose, I don't know any New York Knicks fans. I wish I did, just in case they lose, so I could clown them.
And how much? Just think about. Look how one day changed. How much praise we was giving New York and Jalen Brunson, potential face of the league. And if New York wins a chip, how big. And that's funny because you're right, Jelani. No matter what, if they win or if they lose at this point, it's going to be problems in New York. Either way.
call the National Guard immediately. It's going down. I'm happy. Hey, man.
They're
If
gonna
they
have
win,
all
I'm
the
happy for them.
Yeah, they're gonna have all the security inside trying to round up Charles Oakley. Make sure he ain't in there beating up people.
Oh my God, man, they haven't been there since 2000, since 25 years ago. Like this is essential. They can't blow this. They can't blow this. But
that's nuts.
One more thing before we get out of here, man. I want to ask, since now the Warriors are out, the Cavaliers are out, even though I don't think it changes much about this question, but of the remaining players, who is the third best player remaining? So I would assume we all agree that the Joker and SGA are 1 and 2. Who's 3?
I would have to. I'm gonna go with my first mind, and I don't care. I'm gonna go with my first mind. Tyler Halliburton.
Tyrese.
God dang it! I'm telling with these. Hey man, I need a Tyrese Halliburton. Did I say it right?
Halliburton.
Halliburton.
Yeah, get you some cue cards with the name.
Which is gonna be Halliburton. Tyrese.
That's bold. That's a bold statement, bro. That's bold.
I'm going Tyrese.
Hey,
that's bold.
I'm thinking Jalen Brunson. Don't get me wrong, because I do really consider him top 3 right now.
Mm-hmm.
But what Tyrese is doing right now, it's going under the radar, and I think people don't want to acknowledge him, and that's why. And plus, he's in Indiana, but I think he's the third best player in the remaining playoffs right now.
Right now. What about you, July? Who you got, man?
A couple of names came up. That wasn't one of them. That's why I said it was bold. And I ain't trying to take nothing away from him. He balling, bro. I'm gonna have to go with the Ant-Man. I think he's the third best player left. I also wanted to go with Jalen Brunson though. But I'm gonna have to go with the Ant-Man. He plays both sides of the ball. He's clutch, electrifying, will dunk on you. And what he showed me tonight was he gonna do whatever it takes for his team to win. He had 12 assists tonight. He is not a facilitator, point guard. Well, maybe he is. We don't think of him as such. But tonight he went out there and got 12 assists and had 20 something. I think he had over 20 points, right?
I'm pretty sure, but
yeah. And so I'm he's very extremely athletic, explosive. I'm gonna go with him, and then right below him, I got Jalen Brunson. They like this, and that was a good one, Mark.
Like 1A, like 3A, 3B.
See, right. That's what it is. That's a great answer right there. 3A, B, C, because that was my list. Like when Dalen brought up Tyrese, I didn't think neither one of y'all was gonna say Ty, so I was gonna say Ty. And then when you said Ant, I feel like Ant is I think he's the safest pick, to say at 3. But when you just continue to look at what they're all doing and what they mean for their team and the cities that they're playing for. And I'm like, man, Jalen Brunson in New York and bringing them here and giving New York hope over the Boston Celtics, who many thought would be in the finals and win. People, even though they was the second seed in the East, most people thought they were or think they're the best team in the NBA without question. So for Jalen, I'm picking. I'm gonna keep the train going of us being opposite. Jalen is my 3A, my 3B is Ant-Man, and 3C is Tyrese Halliburton.
I like that.
How Himburton.
And to add to that point with Jalen Brunson, that I don't know if it's been recognized. he's doing this. He did a lot of this against Boston at full strength, and the way they're coming back, huh? Brunson,
you said Tyrese, or
no,
you said
Brunson.
my bad. You got me Tyrese, Jalen. My bad.
First 4 games.
But
first 4 games, they was at full strength.
Full strength, and they're coming back from 20. So I mean, he's well in his rights to be number 3 solely. I just think for Tyrese, to me, you know, I'm an underdog anyways. I've always been 5'7". I've always been the shortest one on the field. So I like underdogs, you know, and I think Tyrese is the underdog. And the way he's willing that team without a real bona fide superstar, and he's kind of taking that leap to show like, hey, I think he's doing it because he's upset.
Yep.
When you get ranked by your peers as the most overrated player, man, look, if that don't put a battery in your back, you ain't built for this game. And I think he's built for it, and he's showing it.
No, definitely. Yeah, everybody got to get it now.
Everybody.
That's, you know, that's why I wanted to pick him first, but I was like, for the sake of let's talk about everybody. I'm gonna go opposite. But
right.
So tomorrow we got one game. We getting down to the nitty gritty. Tomorrow
OKC
we got
in Denver.
Denver OKC, man, and we go run it back, and that's gonna be the conclusion of this episode of the Closers. Mark Haynes, Jelani Hendrick, Dalen Mason. We signing out, and until next time, peace.